Curbside recycling in Hampton Roads is only provided by 14 out of the 167 cities and counties. Chesapeake used to be one of them.
In 2021 and 2022, when Chesapeake was looking at its curbside recycling services, one of the options was to end curbside recycling. Curbside recycling is a basic city service that should be offered to our residents.
There are many costs associated with recycling: the workers, equipment, and locations. However, its residents are looking at new ways to adapt to a life without curbside recycling.
So now we have the options of, in Chesapeake, 7 recycling drop-off sites. And then in addition to it, it's gone to the private sector for citizens being able to sign up for subscription-based recycling.
The recycling is actually multi-solution to this one problem. One way that we, as an end consumer, is that we can be more careful about the plastic that we generate. And we can reuse our plastics as much as we can. So if I have a grocery bag, right, I will always try to reuse that for a second use. But we likely cannot stop using plastics. I cannot imagine a world that without plastic in my life. I think that's really too hard. The moment I wake up, I will use plastic. So my toothbrush, right, is made of plastics. So there's no way I can get around it.
So what impact is this having on the environment? This is what citizens of Chesapeake are asking now that their city has stopped curbside recycling programs.
If we don't recycle any of these plastics, the trash bin will be pretty much filled with all this waste and dumped into a landfill. And sometimes waste will actually end up in the ocean. So you probably have seen pictures of piles of plastics floating on the ocean. And they are not friendly to the animals on the planet. Many of our peers who live on this planet are suffering from the plastics that we generate around them.
What can the average person do?
I was fighting to save recycling. Unfortunately, it did not get saved here in Chesapeake, but I don't think the story is over for Chesapeake. In the end, I think what's important is that we're learning as a community on how to recycle better and how to reduce our waste in the first place so that we don't have waste going into our trash system or into our recycling system, but we are recycling what we can.
The solution might be multifold. If we can remove the single-use plastics, or at least reduce the amount of single-use plastics, we probably will do a lot of good because the rest of the plastic will have a much longer lifetime and they will serve us for much longer period.
I think as consumers, it's important for us to always look at our buying habits. As consumers, we have a lot of power. If we look at we want to reduce our single-use plastics, which I think is probably one of the most important messages that we can give to communities everywhere. Plastics are convenient. Some plastics, like your Tupperware containers, can be used over and over. But our single-use plastics, where they're produced so that we as humans can use them for maybe minutes, plastic utensils that you would get, or straws are another big one. We use them for minutes and then throw them away. So it's a lot, and then they sit in our landfills because neither utensils or straws are recyclable. So they have to go in your trash. And it takes a lifetime for them to break down. Plastics don't break down quickly. So we're using them for minutes, they stick around for a very long time. So if we are opting to use, bamboo utensils or our at-home metal utensils instead of the plastic utensils for convenience, we'll make a big impact in our community.